This animation took 3 years to create, and this one took just a few seconds. Over the past century, animation has undergone a remarkable evolution, transforming from a basic art form into realistic 3D animation from computer-generated images. It took a very long time for animation to evolve into what it is today. Some of the very first styles were created without computers or even television. In 1832, Joseph Plateau invented one of the first commercially successful devices that could perceive a continuous movement from still images. The phenakistoscope was a spinning cardboard disc that created the illusion of movement when viewed in a mirror. Then, roughly 2 years later, George Horner invented the zoetrope, a rotating drum lined with a band of pictures. And of course, we can't forget about the 1868 flipbooks, a popular yet simple booklet that reached a wide audience and is credited for inspiring early animators, including those today. Animation has become a powerhouse for storytelling, technology, and inspirations. So join us on a journey through time as we explore how animation has shaped our world, from the first whimsical creations to the mind-blowing CGI we have today. This is 100 years of animation versus now. Although firsts of any kind are never easy to establish, the first film-based animator appears to be J. Stuart Blackton, whose humorous Phases of Funny Faces in 1906 launched a successful series of animated films. As the years progressed, many other artists had their go at creating some animated characters in different ways. French caricaturist Emily Cole produced one of the first fully animated cartoons from 700 drawings in 1908. The 2-minute-long film is one of the earliest examples of what became known as traditional animation. In 1919, we were introduced to Felix. Felix was a leading character in a series of short cartoons created by Otto Mesmer. From this, we began to notice the capabilities of movement from simple art forms, especially in expression and emotion. Felix quickly became the standard model for cartoon characters. In the vast landscape of entertainment, few companies have left as permanent a mark as the Walt Disney Company. Founded by Walt and Roy O. Disney in 1923, Disney has become best friends with animation and storytelling, pushing the boundaries of creativity, technology, and artistry. The history of Disney's animation begins in the 1920s after the Disney brothers joined forces to create the Disney Brothers Studio. It was during these early years that the foundations of animation were laid. Disney's first significant step into animation was the creation of Steamboat Willie in 1928. The silent black and white animation runs for 2 minutes and 45 seconds, depicting a steamboat sailing through the river while a mouse encounters various comedic challenges whilst trying to operate the machinery. This short animation marked the debut of Mickey Mouse, a character who would become the face of Disney. The animation was created using traditional hand-drawn techniques. Each frame was drawn by hand on sheets of paper and then photographed in succession to create the illusion of movement. One of the most groundbreaking aspects of Steamboat Willie was the synchronization of animation with sound, a revolutionary development in animation history. Animators used a technique called the phonophone system, which was later renamed to the Powers Cinephone. It's a little difficult to explain, but the technique required a soundtrack to be photographically recorded directly onto film as parallel lines, or in other words, electrical waveforms that were emitted from a microphone. The waveforms would translate back into sound waves when the movie was then projected. The 1930s and 1940s are often referred to as Disney's golden age of animation. During this period, Disney produced a series of iconic animated films that set new standards for storytelling and artistic expression, as well as the introduction to color, revolutionizing the medium. The release of Flowers and Trees in 1932, the first Technicolor cartoon, showcased Disney's commitment to innovation and set the stage for a colorful future in animation. Although it was only an 8-minute short, the story was still a promise to future animations and a showcase of their capabilities in motion picture. In 1937, Disney achieved an unprecedented milestone with the release of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the world's first full-length animated feature film. This groundbreaking achievement forever changed the landscape of animation, establishing Disney as a pioneer in the field. In the following years, Disney continued to push the boundaries of animation with films like Fantasia and Bambi. Fantasia showcased the innovative techniques like the use of stereophonic sound. This meant that films used 2 or more audio channels that created the impression of sound being heard from multiple directions, much more like how we hear things naturally. While Bambi wowed audiences with its realistic depiction of nature, Disney sent photographers to Maine to take pictures of forest animals, and even brought animals into the studio so the animators could understand their movements better. And they did this all while using the same techniques of before. But in the 1950s, World War II brought significant challenges to Disney, as many of its animators were drafted. However, the company stayed afloat by producing wartime propaganda films and contributing to the war effort. The post-war era marked a return to storytelling and creativity, with films like Cinderella in 1950 and Alice in Wonderland in 1951. Now, roughly around this time, a computer and cognitive scientist by the name of John McCarthy was working on ways of making programs understand or mimic human common sense and decision-making strategies. He built machines that would take in data, analyze, and predict the outcome for a given input, better known as artificial intelligence. But it wasn't until the later decades, particularly in the 1960s and 70s, that computer graphics and animation started to evolve. Computer scientists worked on learning how to animate in 3D for bigger projects, and McCarthy's contribution to AI laid the groundwork for development of the computer technologies that would eventually enable animations and other visual applications. But after a period of inactivity, Disney returned to the big screen in the late 1980s and 1990s. This era saw a comeback of creativity, quality, and success. The return began with The Little Mermaid in 1989, a film that revitalized Disney's animation department. The use of computer-generated imagery, or CGI, for underwater effects in The Little Mermaid was a sign of things to come. The 90s brought significant change for animated movies. 3D animations became the go-to medium, bringing us films like The Terminator, Jurassic Park, Beauty and the Beast, and The Lion King. All these movies incorporated more CGI elements in digital technology than before. The Lion King was a particular triumph, combining hand-drawn animation with cutting-edge computer-generated sequences. And in the 21st century, a digital revolution in animation began, and Disney was at the forefront of this. Disney's purchase of Pixar Animation Studios in 2006 marked a pivotal moment in animation history. Pixar's pioneering work in computer-generated animation had a profound impact on Disney. In 1995, Toy Story was the first feature-length CGI animated film. Toy Story claimed the title of the first ever completely computer-animated movie. And Disney's collaboration with Pixar resulted in a series of hits like Finding Nemo and Up. As we got more into the 2010s, movies like Avatar and Tangled became some of the most successful examples of 3D animation today. Tangled was one of the first feature films with a notable impact on the evolution of 3D animation. Animating Rapunzel's hair was a difficult task. The film's technology for stimulating hair movement and behavior was groundbreaking at the time, setting a new standard in realism and character design. From then on, Disney departed from the traditional animation style to create a unique medium that appealed to both modern and traditional animation enthusiasts. Tangled demonstrated that 3D animation could be used to create visually stunning and emotional deep stories, paving the way for following Disney films such as Frozen and Moana. Now you might be thinking, how does artificial intelligence play into this? Well, before AI, animating a scene or character could take a really long time. I mean, think about it. Every movement, expression, or tiny detail had to be drawn or created by a person. Now with AI, the process is getting way faster. AI can help by predicting the next frame or by filling in the background details. This means that animators can focus more on the main parts of a scene, and AI can handle some of the smaller stuff. For animation studios, this is a game changer. They can produce animations in less time, which means we get to see more cool shows and movies. Some people worry that AI might replace human jobs, especially the animators. But in the world of animation, AI is more like a helpful assistant. Instead of animators having to do all the work, AI now gives them tools to be even more creative. For instance, AI can suggest color palettes, help with designing backgrounds, or even help come up with new character designs. This means that animators can experiment with new ideas and styles, pushing the boundaries of what's possible in animation. When you watch a big blockbuster movie with loads of action scenes, chances are you're seeing a mix of real-life filming and computer-generated imagery. AI is making those special effects even more jaw-dropping. It can simulate things like water, fire, or explosions in super detailed ways. Before, these effects would take a ton of time and effort. But with AI, special effects can look more amazing and be done way faster. This is making our favorite action-packed movies even cooler to watch. However, although AI can benefit many industries in lots of different ways, it might also have the potential to replace 2D animation entirely. Enhanced realism, engaging narratives, and creative processes will enable animators to focus less on labor-intensive tasks and more on improving the overall quality and engagement of their stories. So do you think AI will help us make better movies? Or do you think that it might not feel as real watching something that was created by a robot? Let us know down below.